Just a moment. Yeah, so I recognize the efforts everyone's made to travel here, and that's but also all of us have made considerable effort to get here, and taking time to settle in. Takes a while to actually get settled into one place, but while we're in this kind of opening stage, we're kind of forming. So first of all, acknowledge all the managers who have put considerable effort into organizing and constructing timetables and getting the chanting together. And this is all just act of love and dana and respect for the Buddha, the Dhamma, Sangha, and those who follow. It's not that easy. It takes dedication, takes supervision. And also, while we're here in this wonderful country, Thailand, there is a very rich culture of Dhamma, respect, and all the kind of cultural things that go with it. And there's a sense that respect is an enormous part of it. It makes people gentle, uh, modest, and lifts the heart. And we also would like to, this time, recognize that the nation is in mourning for the passing of the late Queen Sirikit, passed away about a month ago. And so you'll see many people wearing black. And so Queen Sirikit was the wife of the previous king, King Bhumipol, and they were renowned for their dedication to the nation, not politics, not government, but actually grassroots involvement, looking after the Queen, particularly tried to encourage village textile industries, and then also forestry and ecology projects. You know, so and they both came to pay respects to Luangpor Luangpor when he passed away. So I remember seeing them both there, and they made that effort to offer their respect. So the Queen was like the mother of the nation. And those people don't actually come from countries that don't have kings and queens. Yeah, the kings and queens who really do very well don't really do government. You know, it's a bit kind of grubby, as you probably recognise. But the good ones really try to look after the values of the people, the traditions, and the long-term welfare of the nation. And so people often have a lot of love and gratitude and call them mother, the mother or father of the nation, not the ruler, but the mother. And that's a really different, that's a very much a heart quality. So Queen Sirikit, earned that. There's never any scandals or unpleasantness around her. But not a great public figure, probably internationally never known, but just that sense of representing something, caring, and looking after. So we would like to just bring that to mind and just have a moment or two of silence when we reflect upon that quality on anyone in your life who carries that for you. And also just respecting this country, what it's managed to do in this crazy world. And it's managed to survive and have its own integrity. We can now commit to the three refuges and the 8 precepts, which provide a very important structure for our living together, practicing together, the for these 5 days. Can everyone hear me okay? So we're taking up the precepts. One sets up the model for Dhamma practice. So it extends beyond what we normally consider morality to be, to the overall cultivation of what's wholesome and the sustaining of it. So the cultivation of what's wholesome and the sustaining, mindfulness to sustain, stay with it, resolution to stay with it, and to take in the qualities that come into the heart when you undertake training and appreciating goodness. So where it's very important to make quite a distinction between the mind and the heart, although there are two words in Pali, mano, which is to do with organizing abstractions, ideas, and citta, which is to do with impulses, intentions, feelings, emotions, drives, urges, reactions, responses. And it's this is where the good and bad are not just ideas, they're real powerful energies that arise within the heart and stream out, informing speech, physical contact, and emotional well-being or emotional illness. So it's very important. This is the citta is that which can be released from suffering. Citta is that which is occluded, confused, caught up with craving, clinging, stuck, and it can be liberated. So this is the kernel, the key, the core of our focus on citta. And that begins with determining qualities of goodness. What are qualities of goodness? What's the good about them? Well, when we look at these 8 precepts, they involve harmlessness, it means. They involve truthfulness. They involve sexual restraint. They involve skillful speech. In other words, they allow us to live together in a very comfortable, peaceful, non-intrusive way. They generate harmony. And when we're in harmony, something else can feel happy and relaxed. Because we're not competing. We find that quality of harmony is much better than being the best or getting everything one wants. It's much more comfortable to live in harmony. Then we feel something that feels light, less self-important, less egotistical, less me, more us. And that's comfortable, not just a moral imperative. It's actually very comfortable. This is where we can learn from each other and learn to kind of recognize where we get caught is so often involved with selfishness. I want this. I don't like that. Get out of my way. I don't see why I should bother. It's personal. It's a source of craving. But the trained citta is a source of deep motivation, not just superficial gratification. So when we contemplate the precepts, harmlessness, modesty, restraining covetousness, ambition, getting more than is offered, and so you just live modestly. These two themselves are of enormous benefit. You can imagine if everyone in the world kept these, then there would be no war. There'd be no inequality because people wouldn't be taking more than they needed. So there'd be something much more and we wouldn't be destroying the planet, which is what human beings are doing. Killing, grabbing, manipulating, exploiting, dominating other creatures. We could live more cooperatively. Sexual misconduct, it doesn't take much scanning of news to recognize just how much violation, sexual abuse goes on that kind of social level, and how much people get absorbed into sexuality beyond what's really even necessary, or just kind of addicted, and kind of perversions and abuse that can go on like in that. So we just kind of, let's just cool it. Yeah. And then also just learning to train oneself in terms of one's own sexual energy. We have a life force. We have a life force. A naturally life force wants to produce more life. But when we actually need to produce life all the time. So that energy, if we're not using it in a reproductive or sexual way, is then free to stream into the heart and into the body to give us energy support. So this quality of brahmacharya has always been one of the hallmarks of spiritual training, because then we harness very powerful energy and bring it into the body becomes strong and the energies become collected. And this is a source of collectedness or samadhi that is gives us power, strength, firmness to govern the citta, to bring it into steadiness and to repel aversion, craving, worry, doubt, restlessness, and all that stuff. Without this power, it's very difficult because these forces are powerful. Force of ignorance, craving, violence is very powerful. We can repel it, and we can draw the energy of defilements, and we can purify it. And this purification is synonymous with liberation. So also in retreat, we just refrain from unnecessary activities that take our attention away from out of focus on the heart. So we refrain from entertainments, putting away your mobile phones, not getting on social network, all the kind of stuff like that. We even refrain from conversation, just whatever's necessary to communicate can be communicated at appropriate times, but in general we refrain from conversation. And then it means your mind begins to quieten down. Because if you're not chatting all the time, the verbal function begins to, something you can govern it and use it, not to just talk about things, but use it to inquire. You turn it towards inquiring into, let's look at this, let's read this, let's point to this, not to that and that. This is actually essential for penetrative practice. You refrain from eating after noon, and this is a way of, again, of moderating energy, because consuming food takes energy, and you get these surges and slumps. But once you train with this, you can live, take your food in, it's just the welfare of the body, and then spend many hours just letting the process and food being digested, energy quietening down. So I've done this for over 50 years, unbroken. And you can see I'm okay, not not starved. But of course, it took some time because of the habit, the metabolism is one way, and also the habitual oral gratification of something to nibble, when we've got nothing else to have a nibble. Comfort snacks. So this is then, once you refrain from that, you begin to deal with the restlessness and the fidgetiness of the mind, of the heart, how it wants to seek something to get just comforted by. And then we use Dhamma practice to comfort. We use metta bhavana, loving kindness. We use calming to comfort the mind. We use reflections on our gratitude for others to comfort the mind. And we use compassion for the world in general to steady the mind, get less petty, less self-obsessed. Just taking the sleep that one needs rather than lolling around, lounging. So it's a nice resting the body. We're just using the bed just to take a rest the muscles of the body, stretch the body out, and we can gently turn the mind out to get into rest. So it's much more than just sinking into oblivion. And during retreat, we're going to do some physical moves that will also help to refresh the body and bring energy into the body. It's called Qigong. And we'll practice that, demonstrating that. This will certainly help to moderate your bodily rhythms, something more calm, steady, and spacious. Yeah. And you can kind of consider this. Obviously, most of you don't live with 40 other people. You might live with one or two, some children, or just living on your own. And so you can recognize even living with 3 or 4 people takes a bit of tolerance, doesn't it? And living with 40 people, you had to have a mind of a steady mind of goodwill and respect, because whoever these other people are, they've made an effort to get here. They're making an effort to discipline themselves. They're making an effort to try to penetrate the teachings, and they also have to live with you. So particularly if you share a room together, you've got to look at how you can do that, and how you share facilities, and how when you're going for the meal, for example, you're looking out for others, and how can we kind of, without just pushing ahead, or just kind of cooperating, and in a sense of, it's lovely when you eat together, you see other people are getting fed. There's a lovely sense of happiness when you really widen your focus to include the welfare of others. It certainly brings up some joy and some love and some patience and some tolerance. And these are aspects of the wholesome. This very kind of fundamental human activity of cooperating and living in harmony is one of the most accessible, if you work on it, forms of generating the good. And it's not just about being obedient, it's about feeling happy with other people. Yeah. And it's a happiness that comes from restraining one's own personal wishes. So it kind of makes us wider. This is the nature of the wholesome. It widens us, it uplifts us, it brings qualities that are supportive for one's welfare, the welfare of others, and it makes us feel happy and comfortable. And this fundamental quality is that which acts as the foundation for what we often call meditation. Although really there isn't a single word in the Buddha's teaching that uses that term meditation. We talk about Cittaviveka, cultivating the citta, cultivating the heart, We can talk about sati, mindfulness, four foundations of mindfulness. We can talk about samadhi, collectedness, gathered attention. We can talk about wisdom. All these are cultivations. It's not like there is a meditation period and then everything goes. It's ongoing. There's times when you come into stillness, and all the qualities of goodness, if you've cultivated them and stored them, then become directly available for you to drink in. And this definitely lifts the heart. That is the path towards liberation. Well, simply speaking, it begins with cultivating the good any way you can, and then recollecting it, considering it, thinking it, taking it into the heart and feeling it, lingering in it, remembering it. How does it feel? How does kindness feel? How does tolerance feel? How does respect feel? How does harmlessness feel? No creature need fear me. How does that feel? As an idea, it's an idea. But as a heart experience, a sense of satisfaction, contentment rises. And that quality then begins to repel craving, because we've got something rather precious already. Who needs the 101 things that we can be told we need to make us happy? Generally involves spending money, consuming something, and so on. You want to repel that. No, I'm one who finds their own happiness in themselves. And then this is the way, like that. And the Buddha is saying, this is the beginning. You cultivate that and it starts to flow and stream. Because of that, you can let go, you can renounce television, you can renounce movies, you can renounce dances, you can renounce all kinds of stuff because you don't need it. Not because it's evil, but because you just don't need it. And it makes the mind, it's always going out. So we bring the heart back in to something that's a treasure in ourselves. This is renunciation. And without renunciation, there's no deepening, there's no furthering, there's no progress, really. So renunciation means the boundary starts to form. This is important. That, nah, don't bother. This is important. Nah, don't bother with that. That forming of a boundary is called mindfulness. Means we stay with this and we hold that. And within that, your mindfulness begins to drink in. You stay with the good and you feel the qualities of them, and they have a purifying effect on the citta. Restlessness begins to die down. Dullness begins to lift. Worry and confusion starts to die out. Ill will and negativity and self-criticism begins to abate. This is liberation. And the Buddha is saying, when you cultivate like this, and then you bring it in, it begins to affect your breathing, becomes deep and steady, and it begins to affect the nervous system. You feel relaxed and happy. The body feels fresh and bright. And when the body is fresh and bright, the heart is very happy, and this is called samadhi. It's what he says. There's something about the way that the body itself is a crucial participant. So when I mean the body, I'm not talking about anatomy. I'm not talking about a particular point in the body. I'm talking about the energy in the body, which can be so tense or so jittery, restless, be so droopy and dull, right? It can be so jumping out. And what happens when we get angry or frightened, yeah, or jealous? You feel the body starts, that energy in the body. And when the energy in the body is steady and comfortable, that energy transfers to the heart and it holds it. And that's the holding power that we attribute as an aspect of what samadhi is about. It's firm, and it's happy, and it's heartful. Yeah. And really, to begin to dispel the idea that samadhi is about focusing on a point. There is nowhere in the suttas, nowhere where the Buddha says you should do that. Nowhere. No point. It says what you're focusing on is the intention to let go, to release what's unnecessary and dwelling in the skillful. That's the process that refines. When it's this, you begin through that deeply endowed heart, you begin to see clearly because this heart is steady and it's undisturbed and it's not foggy and it's not inflamed. You're in a state of truth. And this is where you see the nature of conditions, nature of thoughts, emotions, memories, sensations. It's just, and a sense of dispassion arises that means we can let that go. That is practice. That's what it's about. So, I'm saying the heart and the body and the mind helps us just to consider and to keep remembering, because things slip. You've got to come back and remember, oh yes, that. Pick it up again. That's the job of the mind, just to act like a reminder. Okay, and then investigate what's happening now, and to instruct, to participate in the process rather than to distract from the process. But the center of the process is the citta. That's all that could be liberated. That's the one you can rescue. The rest of it has to go. Our brains will fade out. Our brains will break down. As we get older, our memories get a bit feeble. Rationality starts to get less sharp. Your body starts to become more burdensome. The sense faculties get a bit dim. Yeah. And it starts to break down. That's how it is, So while you've still got it in a reasonable condition, you say, well, let's use the energy of it to contribute to the liberation of the heart. So that's process and practice. So I'd like to begin with a guided meditation, or invite meditation, period of focusing. And this period, I'd like to ask you to begin with standing, probably something you're not so familiar with, but it is, the Buddha said all four postures you can cultivate in. And standing has a very helpful part to play in that, because when you stand, you don't fall asleep, that's for sure. And it helps you to generate this wide focus, which is top of the head, the soles of the feet. So just take some time to stand. So take up a position which is easy, and I would suggest you stand with your legs a little bit apart, so they're too close together. There's a certain subtle constriction that occurs in the belly. So we want to keep this area of the body pretty loose, because this is where the breathing begins, in this lower region. If this area is loose and open, there's a lot more possibility for deep exhalation and deep inhalation. And when you're standing, to make it more comfortable, just don't stand too tense, don't stand tight. Keep your legs and your knees slightly soft. And stand tall. See if every inhalation you lengthen yourself. And tall. And then breathing out. Breathe out as deep, slow as you can, deeply. And then wait for the inhalation to come in. Comes in. It comes into your lower belly. Opens your chest. Draws you up tall. If you have your arms slightly away from the side of your body, that gives your chest more room to expand, and also lets your shoulders drop. Your arms are pinned against your chest, the shoulders can't drop. And you want your shoulders to drop because this area of your body, your shoulders are often carry tension. All kinds of things we do in our lives. Managers particularly, people who manage are generally tight neck, tight shoulders, all up in the head. So just deliberately lengthen your arms. Let them hang beside you for a few moments. Open your fingers, relax your hands. And most often when we think of paying attention to something, we generally use our eyes. And the eyes operate by having a very narrow focus, like you're looking at a word. You want to actually drop that. What happens if you attend with your hearing? You know, like you're listening, hear the sounds beyond the room, sound of the voice, the silences. It's a wider focus, and it's much more receptive. What happens if you take that focus, and if you ask yourself, where is hearing? Where is it based? It's based in the body. What happens if we have a sense like the whole body, as if you're tuning to the temperature of the room, or the space around you, or as if you're taking a shower, whole body as a single entity, the skin. all the skin, the whole body as a single unit, not as a series of parts. Skin covers everything. Feels. And something else you notice, so obvious that we don't really even recognizing it, the body knows how to balance. And balance is not in your feet, not in your chest, not in your hands, not in your head. It's everywhere. It's an inner quality. The body knows the whole form immediately and keep harmony. And when you find balance, experience it, it feels very firm, but it's not tense. It's a comfortable firmness that doesn't require any effort. Body will do it. And you tune into that, focus on that experience. Whole body balanced, experiencing around the body, it's all open, non-intrusive, nobody's bothering me, it's safe. And that's a relief. And you can refine it a little if we put aside the body that we see. The moment we're not really interested in what we see, but what the body feels. And there are three fundamental aspects. One is this firmness. Which is quiet, calming. One is the sensitivity of skin, very sensitive. It's quite beautiful. Another one is the rhythm of breathing. swelling, subsiding, like warm life, swelling, subsiding, heartbeat, breath, body, tissues expanding, subsiding. It's quite comforting. All these three play together. Firmness holds stability, sensitivity keeps us alert, and the rhythmic breathing in and out makes it feel comfortable, not tense. If you feel any tension, try to find where you feel firm. Give attention to firming up. And give attention to breathing in and out to help to release tension. Just this is cultivation of samadhi. Just this. Let's take some time to settle back into sitting position. If we retain some of those themes. Now, of course, you're not using your feet, but you're using the base of your body, and then lengthening the spine. When you lengthen the spine, you draw from the base of the body, the tail, up the spine, and then just as if you're hanging upside down. And just use the lower back, energize the lower back, put energy into the lower back, just holding it firm, and draw your attention all the way up the spine. The saying of the Buddha is one sits with spine erect. You come to the place between your shoulder blades, which it often gets turned over into a hump, and you just push between your shoulder blades towards your heart. Just a little. This means it helps your neck to also come into upright. Arms away from the sides of the body gives the possibility for the shoulders to relax. And the neck rising out of the torso, and bring your head onto your neck like a ball floating on a fountain of water. Balance it. And this is the upright line. And along with that, when you come to the front of your body, from your forehead down, everything there, we soften it and relax it, like it's made of cloth. Forehead, the eyes, the cheeks, the chest, the abdomen. Firm in the back, soft in the front. And keep your eyes open. Helps to, if you feel disoriented or dizzy or getting lost in thoughts, helps to keep the eyes open, just looking down at the floor or space in front of you. And take some long breaths. So in this way, we create a container, a proper vessel, free from stress, agitation. And then in this, there is room for the heart. And you can just touch into why you're here, what motivates you, what you find beautiful or encouraging in the Buddha's teaching. What you find beautiful and encouraging in spiritual guides. Linger in the qualities that arise. I'd like to conclude the session slowly with mantra chanting. In this one, we use these 4 words on the bottom of your sheet: metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha. Probably familiar with the meaning of these. Loving kindness is the quality that seeks to nourish yourself and others, seeks to bestow goodness, comfort, food, shelter, solace. It's like reaching out. This is heart, isn't it? And how good that feels whenever we can do it. Let's never lose the opportunity. And you just think of people in the past, gratitude. People at a distance, gratitude, care, love. Qualities of heart transcend time and place. Karuna, that which seeks to protect, shelter, heal, ward off damage, near and far, self and others, transcends time and place. The Buddha teaches for the compassion of future generations, people who've not been born, So considering their welfare and considering trying to find ways that would make them avoid harming themselves and others. People who have not been born instill that sense of what can I do out of compassion? Mudita, the ability to enjoy goodness in oneself and in others. Even it's the goodness to lift an ant away from getting trodden on. And it may be happy, you know, to enjoy the goodness in yourself and in others. Maybe not be parted from enjoying that, rather than criticizing ourselves all the time, how we should be, how we. Let's look at what we are and bring out and celebrate. You know, one can maintain a degree of peacefulness. One can maintain virtue. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And one can renounce. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And people have done this for thousands of years. And those good qualities have kept human beings going despite the wars, famine, violence, catastrophe. What's kept it going? Compassion, virtue, renunciation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Equanimity, the quality that maintains stability despite ups and downs, praise, blame, sickness, health, loss and gain. It maintains equanimity, stability. Oh, this is a condition. This too will pass. This too cannot be held on to. I will maintain stability. And then there's that balance. This is really liberating. So bring any of these to mind, and we pick up breath. We open the chest, we open the throat. We find a tone that feels comfortable. And you make the sounds, and you can bring to mind any qualities, and also bring to mind people you'd like to involve with that. People not here, people around you. Just may I enjoy their happiness. May they be well. Mudita upeka Metta karuna mudita upeka Metta karuna mudita upeka Metta karuna mudita upeka Metta Luna Mudita Upeka Metta Karuna Mudita Upeka Ta Karuna Mudita Upeka Metta Karuna mudita upeka metta karuna mudita upeka metta karuna mudita upeka. Follow the sound, make the determination May all be well. May all things going well.